Welcome to AI Insider, your portal into unraveling the intricate nuances of artificial intelligence, machine learning, and their real world applications. So, I'm your host, Tamia Ford, and I am an avid applied intelligence aficionado, if I do say so myself, and an enthusiast of text evolution. So, today, we are so privileged to have Mr. Mycoo from Alum Chambers. Mr. Mycoo is a established forensic accounting and fraud detection specialist with years of legal experience that also equips him with an eye for the smallest discrepancies in financial systems. Right, so thank you so very much. Let's welcome Mr. Mycoo into the room.
Hi, good afternoon, Tamia. Thank you for having me
Of course, it's
again.
always a pleasure. Right, so we're gonna jump right into it.
Sure.
So forensic accounting always seems to me, at least, like a discipline of relentless precision. Could you share how AI tools are complementing or would complement the human expertise necessary for fraud detection and forensic analysis?
Forensic accounting basically is accounting, auditing combined, looking for patterns or red flags in transactions. So there are set parameters in terms of what can be red flags, what types of transactions might trigger uh, some sort of procedure to verify that these transactions are true and authentic, etc. Sometimes you're not able, because of the size of the company and the volume of transactions, um, some accounting processes or firms tend to take a sample of accounting as part of their auditing. Forensic accounting is a little more detailed in that you're looking for instances of fraud or misappropriation of assets. And so there are set parameters for that. And because of that, it lays the foundation for leveraging artificial intelligence to go through voluminous data once you give it the parameters to look for that will then condense that information perhaps into a listing of possible transactions that at first instance appears to be a red flag. And so that makes any auditor, any forensic accountant, it makes their work a lot easier. I myself, only in preparation for this interview, I started really looking at what AI can really do to make life for me a lot easier. And it has a lot of potential in terms of large scale auditing and forensic accounting, in terms of report generation and so forth. If you had to have someone junior going through each laborious task and then condensing that into a report, I already see AI being able with the right, of course, the right training, you have to obviously train your AI to detect what you're looking for. And again, those are textbook applications, basically, or textbook parameters. Yeah, you can leverage AI for that. From an anti-money laundering perspective, the same applies. So, for instance, I am also a certified anti-money laundering and financial crimes professional, and I know the banks are already employing AI because they deal with voluminous data, and so they have their parameters for red flags in terms of thresholds, uh, monetary thresholds, that is. So any transactions over a certain amount, they can use AI to flag, of course. They can also use AI in terms of knowing your customer due diligence, your KYCs. So any missing pieces of information on a KYC could trigger a red flag. Inconsistent patterns in terms of source of funds. We can use geographical indicators, funds or transactions coming from jurisdictions that are already flagged or that are under sanction. So you can train the AI on what the existing sanctions are, what the existing red flags are again in the ML. And the AI can then go through each application and tell you offhand, okay, they provided X amount of information, but this information is missing. You can use artificial intelligence in terms of identifying picture identifications that may be fraudulent, that may appear to be doctored, that the photograph is inconsistent with other documents, those types of inconsistencies. And so there are many ways to apply AI in forensic accounting and anti-money laundering. I myself believe that that is the future. I believe that's the future, in terms of Trinidad and Tobago, in terms of the world.
I would totally agree. And the basis of AI is solely and mostly based in pattern recognition. And within finances, especially, that is something that is definitely something that is has the antennas up, within financial transactions, a lot of these things to catch a pattern, it's very labor intensive for humans. So I do believe that that AI process would have that. It would be beyond the curve at this point. So that is something that the algorithms could detect anomalies, with accuracy, especially if it's trained properly. So this is something that would definitely help the banks and stuff like that and financial institutions to get ahead of the fraudsters now, because we know they are there and we know they are multiplying at an alarming rate. So I feel as though in that regard, AI would definitely help to have that into nothing. So, in your opinion, are there any particular AI driven tools that have dramatically reshaped the legal industry, but also specifically fraud detection in recent years? Because I know you said that, since you were preparing for this interview and talking to me, you were looking into AI processes and stuff like that, that looks as though it would help with workload and labor intensive tasks and stuff like that.
So, from an accounting perspective, like for instance, data entry. So, I used to be at one point in time a QuickBooks Pro advisor for QuickBooks Online and QuickBooks Desktop and etc. So, when you have clients coming to you with bank statements, 5 years of bank statements with 1,000,001 transactions, and you have to get that data imported in.
Hmm. Who is going
Some
to do
banks,
that?
right? So, some banks, for instance, only provide the paper statements.
Got
Some
you.
other banks
Yes, that
go
is so
go
true.
as far to provide you with the Excel spreadsheets, and so within QuickBooks, there is a data recognition software that allows you to import data into QuickBooks. But for circumstances where you find that you don't have that soft data and you have these bank statements, AI has a tremendous value where you can actually ask the AI to scan the bank
Definitely
statements,
agreed.
separate expenses from income or credits from debits, and then you can then get it into an Excel format that then allows you to utilize the built-in tools to import data. So from that perspective, that's a game changer. It has been around. I do know Office 365 does have some software that
Oh,
recognizes
yes, they have
transactions,
recently
they could scan
implemented
bills,
those things. Yeah.
etc. But again, as a sole practitioner involved in auditing, accounting, etc., that could be a voluminous and back-breaking exercise, especially when you have amnesties. Like, for instance, we're in an amnesty now at the Board
Oh,
of Inland
yes.
Revenue. So
It's
people
up and
rushing to
coming.
get their accounts done. And yeah, basic letters, basic reports, getting a full draft. As I said in my last interview, scaffolding
Yeah.
is always
Yes.
important. And AI gives you that in terms of being able to work turnover, basically being able to process the work, turn it over, to at least
Hmm.
produce a third or fourth version. And when I mean third or fourth version, I'm speaking about usually I would ask a junior or someone to prepare a report for me or a letter,
Yes.
and they may bring a first draft. I'll have a look at it again, recommend some changes. They come back with a second draft or a third draft. I'm saying AI has the potential to present to you as a first document of version 4, which is game changing. I know everybody's saying, he is. talking about all the great things that AI could do. I am saying that artificial intelligence is not here to replace human or biological intelligence, right?
Exactly.
It's here to assist, and therefore you have to build into your systems the human component. You're not just going to trust the AI to get it right and just send off that report.
Definitely.
I know everybody's saying you do have to go through, as you would with any document.
Yeah, do your
If
due
you're seeing it for the
diligence.
first time, you do your due diligence, you ensure that the fact pattern is correct, you ensure that if it's relying on any legal precedents or any legal terms, you have to make sure that the terminology is in fact correct in law. And then, of course, any
Very true.
citations that has to be
Very, very
correct.
true.
Before that leaves your, because it's going out on your name.
Yeah.
Artificial intelligence doesn't replace you. You still have to do the work.
Yeah, you
But of
have to make the
course,
human in whatever you're doing.
number one challenge that you have, and I always jokingly say being able to replicate myself. AI has the potential to give me that power to create different versions of myself, whether it be the
I would
legal
totally
mind,
agree.
whether it be the forensic accounting mind, whether it be a conveyancing mind, companies, the possibilities are endless. Um, and so yeah, there's a lot to unpack, a lot to do.
Of
Um,
course. Because I feel as though there's also skepticism, as you said, in regards to thinking that AI is here to replace humans. I feel as though that's never the case because humans also came up with the bright idea to have artificial intelligence integrated into everyday society. So I feel as though that skepticism is also in multiple industries, especially the legal sector. um, I do know there are a lot of law offices or firms as well that still have or still stick to the books and the law books and the papers, the mountains of papers and paperwork and manually going through things and all of these kind of things. How do you think that AI could build that trust within the legal community? Because I feel as though AI is not here to just take up the job of somebody else, but more so to make the job of that person easier.
Certainly, certainly. What I would say from a legal perspective is that our profession is steeped in tradition, it's steeped in a long tradition, tried and tested as well. And of course, there are not only legal considerations, there are ethical considerations. So, for
Mm-hmm.
instance, a simple ethical consideration is that if it is that you're able to leverage technology and you're able now to produce more using less time and resources, then is it that you're going to pass on those returns to scale to your customers? Is it going to be reflected in your billing? Those are ethical considerations. Using a manual system, you can hide behind that, but certainly with an electronic system, there are efficiencies. Of course, the businessman in me will say, well, hold a second. Me being able to leverage technology to produce a better product and a faster product as a return to scale for me because I'm in the business of profit. Um, and again, we're in the business side of law to advance the law, to make law more affordable and so forth. And so there are things that we still have to work out. Lawyers will be slow to adopt AI because ultimately you may be replacing yourself. But I'm saying nobody is replaceable because again,
Thank
human
you.
experience is human experience, right?
Of course.
And again, AI is just needed to augment what you're already doing.
I feel as though each and every single year we see each phone company come out with a new phone. It may have similar features, but it has one or two features that we've never heard before or we never thought of before. And that's solely based on rigorous training of AI.
So it's here, and it can be used, like I said, in any uh, field of endeavor. What is required is the person who is doing the training They must have the ethical considerations, which is to me very important.
Of course.
And but you know, recreate yourself.
Okay, thank you so very much, Mr. Mycoo, for sharing such valuable insights with us today. Your expertise illuminates the essential role for which AI plays in the legal industry, forensic accounting, and also fraud detection, as well as the exciting potential it even holds for said industry. Right here at AI Insider, we deeply appreciate your perspective, and also we deeply appreciate your contributions for fostering a more transparent and innovative legal landscape. Thank you so very much, Mr. Mycoo, for having you.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.